Due to popular demand, we're returning to the Estate 360 auction. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Last episode, we focused on the Gibsons. This time, we're focusing on the Fenders for a special Fender Friday, but we're also going to do the Taylor, Gibson, and Martin acoustics. But there was a little bit of confusion last time. How do you find this thing? It is bid.estate360.com. I'm not sponsored by these guys, and this is an auction over in California. They will ship, but it's going to be expensive because it's one of those UPS pack and ship type things, and there's a 15% buyer's premium on top of what you bid, and everything is sold as is. There is no guarantee that it works, or parts haven't been replaced. And after bidding on a few of these, it looks like this is one of those auctions I don't like that has extended bidding. So that means if there's a bid placed in the last 2 minutes, it gets extended 5 minutes. So there is no auction sniping here. Don't wait till the end, just put your max bid in, and if you win, you win. So let's kick things off here with style. It's a 2005 US Fender Telecaster. So at first glance, this really didn't seem all that special, but then I looked at the body and, that's black binding. That works really well with this blonde finish on this Tele. You've got a maple fretboard. Seems like there's a little bit of delamination of the lacquer. You got the matching maple neck, but is that an abalone inlay for the Fender logo? Nice. I can't say I know too much about this one, but it's got some pretty interesting specs, including a comfort carve on the back and a little bit of a swoop on the heel. This is a 2011 Fender Custom Shop Deluxe Telecaster, and it might just look black at first glance, but then you see it. It's like a translucent black color with a very dark border. I really dig that, especially with the white pickguard, and it's really that body's wood grain that just comes to life. And if that wasn't enough for you, they also did it on the back. That's a really cool Telecaster. It's a shame all these photos are so blurry though. But yeah, bidding is getting fierce on that. Next up is a 60th Anniversary Telecaster. I have run into these before, but what's interesting is you get this. At first I was thinking that was some sort of a decal, but looking at it, it almost appears to be a wooden inlay. So that's pretty cool. But according to this listing, they made about 1,000 of these, and this one is number 505. Better than number 404. Where'd my guitar go? But that case is not in such good shape anymore. Next, a Celtic Custom. This one kind of reminds me of the flathead Telecasters and Stratocasters out there, because it also has a singular inlay around the 12th fret, and it's a one pickup humbucker design. But that is a carved top Tele. And if that wasn't enough, it's a set neck construction too, with a comfort carve. That's not something I'd want for myself, but it would make a fun review and demo. This one I threw in here because I think it's funny. I seriously think the auction guys were just opening up this case thinking there was a big guitar in it, like a double neck, and then, it's just a 7 guitar stand. Because that's what's cool about these. It just looks like a case when you close it all up. What an ingenious design. But how about this 50th Anniversary Stratocaster? It's a nice tobacco sunburst finish, a very pale neck. Looks like we're rocking abalone inlays, that's cool. With maybe one of those reflective Fender logos. But our pickguard appears to be branded with the Anniversary, and our gold isn't in the best of shape, but it's still mainly there. But hey, looks like we got one of those push knobs over here. I think that's part of the S1 series. But that finish pairs well with that case. This auction also has a whole bunch of amps. Here's a limited edition Blues Junior with a tobacco sunburst finish, or sunburst depending on what you want to call it. And it's also painted on the sides. And the back. Alright, you've piqued my interest. Did they burst the bottom of this thing? Let's see if they've got a photo. Nope, doesn't look like we have a photo. But would you look at that? An amp with a COA. Here's one of those 2003 Splattercasters. Not my favorite one I've ever seen. Kinda got a golden black thing going on. Maybe it's just something you need to appreciate in person. But the design does continue on to the back, and okay, I guess I like it a little bit more now that I've seen it zoomed up. At least it has one of those nice 90s era cases. Fender Coronados are so cool. These are interesting late 60s 335-like guitars. So this is a single pickup version, so I guess it's meant for jazz and whatnot, but it's got that black headstock, piercing red body finish. I really, really want to document one of these in one of the exotic wildwood versions, but I'm picky. That's why we haven't documented it yet. I've been waiting 5 years plus now for the very right one to show up to document. But check this out, a Fender GB41 SCE. I would assume this is fairly modern. It just looks like an acoustic guitar, but in bass format because, well, that's kind of what it is. But wow, looks like a mother of pearl Fender logo on it. That thing is dusty, and look at those strings. If you want dead tone, that's where it's at. Yep, that one might need a little bit of TLC to get up and running. But nice, it's got a case. Here's a Keith Richards-inspired Telecaster, in the fact that we've got a humbucker in the neck, but that wood grain is nice. I like them ringy, especially on Telecasters. But apparently this is a made-in-Japan guitar, and I love Japanese Fenders. They're so good. And historically, they've done a lot of weird, wacky stuff that even though I have troubles getting them, it's still fun to get them to document. GDGBD. Oh, okay. That might be a Richards thing. I do remember people talking about him only having 5 strings. I thought this was just missing a string, but no, that might be for a reason. But check out this Barnyard Old Pine 52 Tele in whitewash finish. This one caught my attention due to that unique finish. And on top of that, you get a black paisley pickguard, and that finish continues on to the back as well. It is certainly a unique one. But check this Elvis Costello Jazzmaster. I love that. It's solid walnut. Walnut is such a cool wood for guitars. Looks like we got the maple neck yet. That appears to have even a little bit of flame figuring within it. But it's a proper Jazzmaster with the pickups and all the rhythm treble circuits. But it kind of reminds me of like a rosewood Telecaster or something, because you get all the nice wood grain and it's a dark color. It's just not quite as expensive. I'm not really sure what these things go for, but I wouldn't mind documenting one of those. Speaking of rosewood-like guitars, this is listed as an Esquire. That looks like a rosewood body to me, and our cover is lower than normal, and if all that wasn't crazy enough, look at our headstock. It's reversed with 2 string trees. Now those look like upgraded string trees to me, so maybe it didn't originally have it. I'm not sure. This is not a model I'm familiar with, but it is awesome. I like that. The back almost looks mahogany, so maybe that's just a veneer on top and this is some sort of a parts caster. It wouldn't surprise me with those specs. But he also had another Keith Richards Tele, this one with an upside down neck pickup, that seems to be oddly tilted. I wonder if the springs fell out, and that's why it's like that. But here's another Esquire, but this time a little bit more traditional. We've got some aging along the edges, and it looks like an upgraded rail style humbucker in the bridge. And there is another pickguard in the case. Oh, and one of the thermometer cases. Here's a 76 Telecaster Custom that likely has a replaced pickguard on it. That's got a whole ketchup vibe going on. Not a big fan of that, but hey, it's one of the older customs with your bullet truss rod, 3-screw neck, and all the other goodness you come to expect. But how do you guys feel about this 2014 Custom Shop Tele? I really like it. It's like a natural burst finish. It's just a hair darker along the edge and then slightly lighter here, but then your neck has the same tint. It's a flame neck, so you get to see that going all up and down your fretboard, including, again, abalone inlays to make it a little bit more special. And then, ooh, this must be a real nitro finish. It's got a bunch of checking, like we saw on all those Gibsons. Or maybe not. That is some extreme checking. Usually nitro doesn't quite look like that, but who knows? That is just all over. Okay, it is custom shop, so it might be nitro. Or maybe they intentionally reliced it, I'm not sure. Here's another one of those black-bound Telecasters. It's got some pretty unique grain on the body, and this one's got some finish checking too. It really does seem like this collection wasn't necessarily stored in the best conditions. But now from '96, a Fender Custom Shop Nocaster, a little bit of bird's eye in the neck. But get this, it's got a B-bender on it. Your string will go through that, and usually your strap attaches to this, and you pull down on the guitar, which makes your strap go here. But if we flip it over to the back, there's this whole lever system within your guitar, so it's a giant spring essentially, which changes the tension of your string to make a nice bending sound. So think prime country years, kind of getting into pedal steel guitar, but on a regular 6-string. You can check out this episode if you want to watch me mess with one. Here's an interesting one. Tortoiseshell guard, Bigsby, sanded off Tele logo. That's funny. That had to have been like a cigarette burn or something. But then once again, abalone inlays, he was a fan of that, which I'll take it if it makes the guitar a little bit more interesting. But that almost looks like a very dark brown finish rather than black. Although it might just be ebony, who knows. Here's a Revolution Rock Telecaster. Definitely one of those fake Relic jobs, but I'd say it has a certain vibe to it, and probably wasn't that expensive new, but holy cow. I refuse to believe those tuners left the factory looking exactly like that. That is too good. That's about appropriate wear on the neck, and it looks like it's going to be a matte finish. Next up, we got an old Mustang. Seems to be in okay shape with some various finish checking. One of the Jeff Beck Stratocasters. This is a great era for Fender. I love the Fender Ultra series, the 90s one that had the Strat Plus incorporated with it, and you got the lace sensor pickups, and the S1 switch, but this time not built in within a knob. These are pretty interesting too. It's a carved top Tele like we were talking about a little bit before, but this time we got 2 humbuckers. You get a matching burst headstock, abalone inlays again, but this time the dots are bigger. And I have documented something similar to this called the TC90, but you can check that out here. But they're crafted in Indonesia, but they are solid guitars, trust me. And this one's been upgraded to a A makeshift case, better than nothing. Here's another interesting bound Telecaster, but it's bound on the top and front, and ooh, look at that nice wood grain. Kind of reminds me of the Gibson Dusk Tiger. Here's another one of those whitewashed Telecasters, very similar to the last one we saw. This is a 2005 American Telecaster that I don't know if it was modified or not, but it has a humbucker in the neck, and then really small dot inlays. Something about this one just looks different as compared to all the other Telecasters we've seen. Like the edges seem overly rounded. I think it's because most of the Teles in his collection had binding. But yep, we can tell that's a Fender product as we got the lacquer all up on the frets. And then lastly, a custom shop Esquire is the one that made it to my A list that I definitely wanted to show you. As far as my short list, there was a black Tele Custom, a USA Special California bass, 2011 57 Stratocaster, a white Jazzmaster, and a 50th Anniversary USA Strat. That was a lot of fun for Fender Friday, but this auction also has a lot of really cool Gibson Acoustics. Check out this insane Koa Songwriter. It even has a matching headstock and a great back. A cool J200 limited edition. I like the cool flower on the headstock. And the whole green and red outline of the flowers works really well with that jet black finish. The CL50 Vine, I'd never heard that model. Honestly, this looks fake from so far away. It's not fake though. It's just all the abalone sometimes harkens back to some import models, but our logo's fine. I like all that stuff going on. Mother of pearl truss rod cover. I think this is what makes it look strange, is the abalone on rosewood. That's the signature fake look. But if that wasn't enough, looks like you got a Koa back. The Songwriter has intricate inlays that I'd never seen before. Especially on the headstock, that is a completely new one to me. Here's a rather unique hummingbird. So doves have doves in flight, but I didn't necessarily know that there was a hummingbird version of that same thing. I like that, that's cool. And kind of fancy fleur-de-lis stuff going on, I guess. And then we got a 1994 reissue gospel. I've always been a fan of the old gospels because they had a cool little birdie on their headstock. This one, unfortunately, doesn't get that, but it's a reissue of that cool model nonetheless. This one I like just for the name alone, Maui Wowie. Must be some Hawaiian Koa on there, with a pretty interesting matching back. There's a J45 Vine with the Vine inlay, a Dwight Yoakam signature honky tonk deuce. So this one from far away, you might just be like, yeah, okay, whatever. But my friends, did you see the dice inlay on your pick guard? That's nice. But that's not even the coolest part. You've got dice inlay at your 12th fret. That is great. I didn't know this model was a thing. And of course you get an Elvis Presley signature over here. He's the king, so we got crowns literally everywhere, including on our headstock. But he didn't have too many vintage guitars, but here was one with a cool double pick guard. And then a 50th Anniversary Hummingbird. It doesn't necessarily look that special from this photo, but again, I love unique Gibson headstocks, so this one just having 50 in that stylized font is kind of cool. And then the last one is this L4A Acoustic. It's essentially a Les Paul in super jumbo format, I guess you could say. I think that's about enough of the Gibson Acoustics. Now let's look at the other brands. He has one of the Gretsch Malcolm Young signature guitars. Now that's kind of cool. It has a very pale natural flame top. It's not the version that has the neck pickup exposed or anything like that, but nice simple controls there. This Mesa Boogie amp has some really nice figuring. Do you really need an amp that has all that figuring on it? No, but it's pretty cool. But this would bug me so much. Is that inlaid abalone to make it look like there's a pick sitting on top of your amp? You're gonna go to grab it all the time and be like, ah, no, it's not actually there. That's funny. He also has like a snakeskin single rectifier over here with hang tags. There was an Ovation 12-string, a Glenn Campbell signature model. Ovations are just weird guitars in general, with their plastic bodies, this time brown instead of black. Interesting. And their headstock construction's quite fascinating, especially with their little swoop. There was a Michael Kelly Dragonfly 5-string bass. This doesn't look particularly high quality, so I'm not sure if that's an import brand or what's going on. But oh, a fretless 5-string. That's interesting. I've never seen a fretless bass have fancy inlays on it before, let alone a Dragonfly. That's actually kind of cool. I mean, if you're not going to have fret markers, you might as well have something that kind of helps you get there. That's crazy. The back is black. But looking through here, you see quilt maple. I wonder if that's just a veneer to make that part of the guitar look fancy. There's a Robert Taylor 30th anniversary. It's got a slotted headstock with an ebony face, fancy abalone rosette, and a fancy fleur-de-lis style inlay. There was also a Martin CEO Choice Special. I don't know anything about this, but I thought it was funny. Martin CEO Choice Special. And here was another one similar to what we had just saw, but uh-oh. Ow! That hurts on multiple levels. That seems like a 2-piece seam line separating and then it further separated due to moisture, but then something going on here, another crack there. I'd imagine that'd be a fairly simple fix. Oh, cool. Fancy inlays on the back and a stinger. That one's gonna need a little bit of TLC, unfortunately. I like the title of this one, Legends of the Fall. Apparently this Taylor just has Brazilian rosewood everywhere, except for maybe the fingerboard and the top. But whoa, that is beautiful on the edge. Shame something's going on right there. Ah, geez, This is the reason I don't own a lot of acoustics in my collection, because I'm scared of stuff like this happening. Even though I know if you keep them in a good environment, they won't, but that's a shame. But check this Gretsch out, a Bono Irish Falcon. A white Falcon, but with green and gold instead. Gretsch guitars are just interesting in general. We have documented a few on the show if you're interested in seeing one of these things up close. Although I think I've documented the Penguin. There's one of those Hofner Beatles basses. A rare Taylor Liberty Tree acoustic. Thought it was kind of interesting with the wooden inlaid flag on the headstock. And then, the Declaration of Independence as an inlay on your fretboard and onto the guitar. Now that's interesting. Now what are they doing with that rosette? Oh, that's cool. It's a very patriotic guitar, but if you're looking for more patriotic guitars in your life, check out the old Hickory Les Paul. This Taylor had some interesting inlays in the top with a nice looking back. And we'll cut things off here with a Hawaiian Koa guitar. Even though there's no branding on the headstock, this thing is done up by Martin. It's pretty much fancy all over. You got the herringbone on the back. It's a beautiful instrument. All right, troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed this little series of looking over the estate360.com auction. Again, it's in California. They can ship it to you, but people are bidding like crazy. This got so much publicity from their viral TikTok that I really don't think you're going to get any deals at this place, but there are some special guitars. It might be worth overpaying a little bit. But anyways, thank you troglodytes for tuning in today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.